My in-laws excluded me from their annual family vacation and secretly took my sister instead, forcing shocking family secrets and betrayals into the light. Alright Reddit, this is going to be a long one, so buckle up. I never thought I'd be posting here, but I literally have no one else to talk to about this without being judged. I, a 27-year-old female, have been married to my husband, who is 30, for almost a year. We were together for 2 years before that. Since we lived away from our respective homes, our families had only met a couple of times, and everyone had to fly out to meet us. My husband hadn't met my sister until our wedding because the timing just hadn't worked out. She was still in school, a straight-A student, and wasn't willing to skip classes. So she mostly Skyped with me, and that was the only time we talked face-to-face. My husband had seen my sister and spoken to her a couple of times on Skype, but in person, he'd only met her at our wedding. My sister and I look very different, so much so that our relatives used to say, people wouldn't even be able to tell we were sisters just by looking at us. That turned out to be true. At the wedding, my sister decided to let her real hair color show, as she'd been dyeing it all sorts of crazy colors since she was 15. Both my husband and my sister have dark hair and dark eyes, while I have blonde hair and green eyes. Some of our guests even thought my sister was my husband's sister because the resemblance was so striking. We laughed it off that day, but after that, something changed about my husband's behavior whenever I brought up my sister. I think people can already guess where this is going. It's been almost a year since our wedding, and last week, my husband told me he was going on a business trip for a week. I was fine with it, but 2 days later, I learned from one of my mother-in-law's friends that they were all together on some beach. She even sent me a picture, and I could see my little sister in the background of the selfie my mother-in-law had taken. I was so shocked because both my husband and my sister had been lying to me, and that was just so strange. My mother-in-law's friend contacted me to say she hoped I'd get well soon because my mother-in-law had told her I had to skip the family vacation due to a twisted ankle. I was completely fine, and they hadn't told me a thing about the vacation. In fact, everyone had lied to me so I wouldn't suspect anything. I knew my husband's family always took family trips once a year, and the past 2 years I'd even accompanied them. So, this was just so weird to me. I decided to call my husband and then my sister, but neither of them responded to my calls or texts. So I called my mother-in-law instead, using a number I knew she wouldn't recognize, my separate work phone number. She answered, and I didn't waste any time. I confronted her immediately. Initially, she was at a loss for words, fumbling to come up with an explanation. I was heartbroken and lost, so I told her that, if she didn't tell me the truth, then and there, I would file for divorce immediately. I think that scared her, so she decided to tell me what was going on. It's been 2 days since that phone call, and I'm still reeling from it. As everyone must have guessed by now, yes, my husband and my sister are half-siblings. 10 years after I was born, my mother had an affair with a man she met through a friend, and that man happened to be my current father-in-law. This explains why I was talking about our hair colors earlier. My mother always had blonde hair, but after my sister was born, she started dyeing it brown to match my sister's. My parents lied to me, saying her original hair color was brown, and she'd been dyeing it blonde all those years. I was only 10 years old, so I didn't question anything and just believed them. Now I know they did that, so nobody would question why my dad's hair was dirty blonde. My mom's was blonde, but my sister's was brown. My mother, unfortunately, passed away a couple of years before I met my husband, so she couldn't have told me anything. My dad never told me about their affair either. As for my father-in-law, I've only met him once, at the wedding, and he didn't stay long. He definitely didn't know anything about his second child, as my dad swears my mother cut him off once she got pregnant and confessed to my father about her affair. They decided to stay together and work it out, and my father-in-law didn't want to be part of his daughter's, my sister's, life either. So it all worked out pretty perfectly for them. My father-in-law wasn't even at our wedding ceremony. He was only there for 20 minutes, gave us our wedding gift, blessed us, and left because he had a flight to catch. My husband's parents are divorced now and aren't on good terms at all, so the family vacations were usually just my husband, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, his wife, and for the last 2 years, me. My mother-in-law told me that after the wedding she suspected my sister might be her husband's daughter. That was actually the reason they got divorced all those years ago, he confessed to her that he'd had an affair and the woman he was involved with was pregnant. He lied to her, saying he wanted to be with her, but in reality, he just needed an excuse to divorce her. My mother-in-law didn't ask him further about it and let him go. He continued to be part of his sons' lives even though he'd moved to Europe. He'd call them often and attend important events in their lives but wouldn't stay long, as he didn't want to bother his ex-wife. He'd visit once or twice a year and stay in a hotel to meet his sons, but that was about it. So naturally, my husband and his brother weren't close to their dad, but he was still part of their lives, which is how they eventually found out about the connection with my sister. My mother-in-law told me that a few weeks after our wedding, she had doubts about my sister's lineage and spoke to her ex-husband about it. She hadn't spoken to him for years after their divorce, but this was important enough to break the silence. She told him everything she'd learned about my mother from me, and he confirmed that she was the woman he'd had an affair with. My mother-in-law told my husband about it immediately, and around a month later, my husband and his family reached out to my sister to talk about it. While she was skeptical initially, she eventually agreed to get a paternity test. As it turned out, my father-in-law was indeed the father of all three of them, my husband, his brother, and my sister. That was why my husband started acting strange whenever I brought up my sister after we got married. It finally made sense, but now nothing makes sense to me on a personal level anymore. In just one phone call, I learned that my mother had cheated on my father and lied to me since I was 10 years old. Admittedly, she only lied about her hair color, but I'm still in shock. Not only that, but my husband, his entire family, and my own family, my sister and my father, have been lying to me for so long. It's been almost a year since our wedding, and they've all been hiding this from me. My head hurts every time I try to make sense of it all, and I feel like I'm caught up in some soap opera drama. Everyone has been trying to reach me for 2 whole days now, but I haven't responded to any calls or texts since I learned the truth. I just don't have anything to say to anyone right now. I haven't even opened their texts, and they keep piling up. I haven't been able to leave the house either. I keep replaying all my interactions with my dad, my sister, my husband, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and even his wife. Every single one of them was in on this secret except me, and I can't imagine why they thought hiding this from me was okay. I feel so stupid for not picking up on anything, but truth be told, they were really good at keeping this secret. This is all so messed up that nobody in their right mind would even imagine something like this could happen to them. I'm just so done right now. All I want to do is take off by myself and clear my head. I know it seems weird to say that when I just confessed I haven't been able to leave my house yet, but I really think a few days away from everything will help. I used to do this back in college whenever things got overwhelming. I'd take off by myself and go hiking or something for a few days. It was reckless and risky, but I survived. I've been thinking about doing that again. The only thing stopping me is that I have to think about my family and the effect my sudden disappearance without explanation might have on them, especially after what I've learned. I don't want to let them know where I am, though. I don't think they deserve to know, because after everything that's happened, if they're going to keep secrets from me, then so can I. I'm a little conflicted because I'm so angry and hurt that my judgment is clouded by my feelings. I know they'll be worried if they can't find me at home, and they probably already are since I haven't responded to them. I just don't know what to do right now. On one hand, I really want to hurt them and make them panic when they can't find me once they come back home. I want them to feel the way I do right now. But I know I'm a grown woman and that's a really juvenile thing to do, just run away to get people worried. So, I don't know what to do. Update 1. I did go away for a few days. I went camping with strangers. One of my friends organizes these things, and luckily, the day after my post they were starting, so I decided to join at the last minute. It was a good decision. Being in nature made me forget about my life for a bit. I know that sounds really weird and dramatic, but that's actually what happened, and I'm happy I decided to do it. I'd also uninstalled all my social media apps and continued to ignore all calls and texts. The signal strength was weak there anyway, so I didn't have to worry much. I was able to distance myself from everyone and everything, and I really needed that to think freely. I was away for 3 days and came back yesterday. I didn't go home but decided to stay at a hotel because, despite everything, I'm still not ready to face my family. I know they'll be worried, but I think it's time I put my own feelings first, and that's what I'm doing. I did check the messages everyone had been sending me, though. My husband told me they'd be back on the next flight and was apologizing profusely for everything, so I'm guessing he's back now. I'm kind of glad I didn't go back home yet because I really don't think I want to talk to him right now, let alone forgive him. It's the same for everyone else. Everyone's apologizing and asking me where I am, begging me to respond because they're worried. I don't really want to respond to any of them because, whatever their intentions were, they still lied to me. I know now they were just trying to protect me from the shock of it all, but I'd rather have found out earlier than this way. They lied to me for a whole year, and now they expect me to just forgive them and trust them again? Yeah, right. More than my husband and his family, I'm disappointed that even my own family lied to me. I don't understand why they felt the need to. I'm a grown woman, and I think I can handle the truth. especially when it's about something like this. For my husband and his family to just take off on a family vacation with my sister without even telling me the truth first? That's just messed up. I'm hurt, and I still feel betrayed by everything. But being away has sort of put things into perspective. Even though I feel considerably lighter, I'm still confused about what to do next. I know they didn't intend to hurt me and just wanted to protect me from the truth. But I'm also furious that they did this to me in the first place. Update 2. I finally came back home today, and everyone's here. I mean everyone. My husband, his mother, his brother, and his wife, my dad, and my sister. I was a little taken aback when I was welcomed by everyone, and it was really overwhelming since they all pulled me into hugs and bombarded me with questions about where I'd been while simultaneously apologizing for what they'd done. It felt like too much for me to handle, so I told them I needed some time by myself, right now, and asked them to calm down because they were overwhelming me. I wasn't in the right emotional state for this, but I could see they were. All really emotional, and I won't deny it, I felt really emotional too. I couldn't stop loving these people just because of what they'd done. Yes, they messed up big time, but now that I know their reasons, it's hard to hold it against them. An hour after I came back, I had some time to myself to think about what I wanted to discuss with my family. I decided to finally talk to them. They were all sitting in the living room, not talking to each other, and it really felt like they were at a funeral, or something. That's how quiet and solemn the room was, which I'm guessing is how it had been while I was gone. I felt a little guilty, but then I remembered I did what I had to and had no reason to feel bad, especially after their lies. Even though I already knew what they were going to say, I still asked why they had been lying to me. There were a few minutes of silence, but then my dad started talking. He told me one of the biggest reasons they kept this a secret was because they knew how much I loved my mother, and they believed I wouldn't be able to take the news of her affair well. That was true. I hadn't taken it well because it sucked that the woman I idolized most had cheated on my father. I loved her more than life itself, but after this, I didn't know what to think of her anymore. Everyone in that room knew my mother's infidelity would be the biggest shock for me. They'd been lying to preserve my mother's memory, so this wouldn't ruin it for me. Despite everything, she'd always tried to be a good mother, and I'll concede she was a great mom. But it still sucked that they lied to me for so long and even went on vacation without me. My husband explained that the purpose of the vacation was to come up with a way to tell me because the situation was so complicated. They didn't realize that when I found out they'd been lying for a year, I'd be even more hurt than if they'd just been honest. They admitted they screwed up by trying to protect me and shield me from the truth instead of being honest. This was a new and complex situation for everyone, and the longer they waited for the right time, the harder it became to tell me. They'd made up their minds to come back after the vacation and tell me everything. My husband also wanted to bond with my sister, but I guess she's our sister now, which feels so weird to say. I can't even wrap my head around it. Even she told me there were multiple times when she wanted to tell me, but she couldn't bring herself to say it because she was struggling to come to terms with it herself. I forgive her, there's no question about it, because she's just 17 and her whole world has turned topsy-turvy with this revelation. The man she thought was her dad isn't her real dad, and her supposed brother-in-law is her actual half-brother. If I was 17 and going through something like this, I probably wouldn't to know what to say or do either, so I understand why she didn't say a word. After that discussion, everyone else headed home so my husband and I could have some time to ourselves to discuss what we wanted to do next. Once they were gone, he sat me down and told me he was truly sorry for lying and taking the lie so far. He said he'd accept whatever decision I made about our marriage, even if I wanted to divorce him. He had tears in his eyes but was trying his best to hold back so I wouldn't feel guilty. That was my breaking point. I broke down sobbing, and so did he, because despite what had happened, I didn't want to give him up. I just couldn't. I loved him too much. I know I'll get a lot of hate for this, but I don't care. I know many wanted me to leave him, but I'm not doing that because families are complex, and things aren't always black and white. This couldn't have been easy for anyone involved. I know he lied to me, and so did everyone else, but they lied to protect me, not hurt me. The situation is so messed up that I don't even know what I would have done in my husband's or my dad's place. Have I forgiven everyone entirely? No, obviously not. I still have so many questions, and so much to say because this isn't something people can come to terms with in just one day. I don't think anyone will ever fully understand what I'm feeling right now, and I don't have the right words to explain it. But I do know that with time and effort, I'll be able to fix my relationships. Not just with my husband, but with the rest of my family too. I can't forgive them just yet, and I'll definitely never forget any of this, but I think I'll be able to accept that this happened and move on eventually. Nevertheless, I'm willing to give everyone a second chance. Update 3. It's been almost 6 months since my last update and so much has changed. I'd like to thank everyone for the kind messages and overwhelming love and support most of you have shown me. It means the world to me, and I'm doing a lot better than I was back then. There are also the usual hateful and judgmental people who believe my marriage won't last and that my family will screw me over again. Thanks for the hate too. It's made me immune to your cruel comments and remarks. Since my last update, life has become considerably better since I decided to accept the truth and try to move on. The first thing I did was get in touch with a therapist. I have solo sessions, but my husband and I also attend marriage counseling. Not because we have problems in our relationship, but because we want to work on it and save it. I know many believe marriage counseling means a relationship has soured, but honestly, I think every couple going through a rough patch should try it instead of giving up immediately. My husband and I are together and just as much in love as we were the day we got married. It's a little strange to know we have the same sister now, but we're trying to come to terms with it. He's trying to build a relationship with her, and I'm trying to fix mine. Since these are waters we've never navigated, it's all going well so far, and hopefully, we'll all be back to normal someday. Whatever normal means for families like ours. I'm also trying to fix my relationship with my dad and be as cordial as I used to be with my husband's family. Families are complicated, but I'm glad I have the people I do because despite everything, they still love me, and I love them. I know it's really messy, but it's mine. It's been about 8 months now since everything came crashing down, and I'm still trying to wrap my heart around it all. Sometimes, I wake up in the middle of the night, my chest tight with this strange mix of anger and sadness, like I'm grieving for the version of my family I thought I knew. It's hard to explain how it feels to realize the people you love most. My husband, my dad, my sister, even my mother-in-law, kept something so monumental from me. It's like standing on a rug you thought was solid, only to have it yanked out from under you, leaving you scrambling to find your footing. I keep asking myself why it hurts so much. I think it's not just the lie itself, but the fact that they thought I couldn't handle the truth. That stings the deepest. Like they saw me as fragile, someone who needed protecting from reality. I'm 27 years old, and I've always prided myself on being strong, on facing life head-on. To know they doubted that part of me feels like a betrayal of who I am. There are moments when I look at my husband, and I see the man I fell in love with, the one who makes me laugh until my sides hurt, but then I remember the secret he carried for a year, and it's like a shadow falls over that love. I don't know if that shadow will ever fully lift. Yet, despite the pain, there's this stubborn spark of hope inside me that refuses to go out. I see it when I talk to my sister, who's still just a kid trying to navigate this mess herself. She's my sister, but now she's my husband's sister too, and that's a knot I'm still trying to untangle. I catch myself watching her sometimes, wondering how she's coping with the fact that the dad who raised her isn't her biological father. I want to be angry at her, but I can't. She's 17, caught in a storm she didn't create. When we talk, it's tentative, like we're both afraid of breaking something fragile, but I can feel the love we've always had for each other still there, waiting to be rebuilt. With my dad, it's harder. I loved my mother so much, and knowing she cheated on him changes the way I see her. It's like losing her all over again, but this time, it's not just her death. It's the image of her I carried. My dad's silence feels like a choice he made to keep me in the dark, and that hurts. But when I see the way he looks at me with so much regret in his eyes, I know he was trying to protect me from that pain. I'm trying to forgive him, to see him as a man who made a hard choice out of love, but it's a slow process. Some days I'm okay with him, other days I can barely look at him without feeling that ache in my chest. As for my husband, I love him fiercely, even now. That's the part that confuses me the most. How can I love someone so much and still feel so betrayed by them? In our counseling sessions, we talk about trust, about how to rebuild it brick by brick. He's trying so hard, leaving little notes around the house, holding my hand when I get quiet, apologizing in ways that feel genuine. But there's a part of me that's scared to let him back in completely, afraid that if I do, I'll miss some other truth he's hiding. I don't think he's hiding anything now, but the fear is there, like a bruise that hasn't quite healed. Still, I'm choosing to stay. Not because I'm weak or naive, but because I believe in second chances, not just for them, but for me. I deserve a chance to find peace, to build a life with the people I love, even if it's messy and imperfect. There are days when I feel like I'm drowning in all this, but there are also days when I laugh with my husband, or share a quiet moment with my sister, or feel my dad's hug, and I think, maybe we can make this work. Maybe family isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up even when it's hard. I'm still hurting, still angry, still confused, but I'm also hopeful. And for now, that hope is enough to keep me going.